What's up, guys? Welcome into it. Holy cow, we're gonna do our best for this show today. Good golly, a lot of changes, a lot of things on the fly here, so we're just kind of gonna roll with it. Gotta have programs like that once in a while, I guess. Welcome into it. Let's do this thing.
2 minutes till broadcast.
Indeed. What a day, man. Middle of the week. It's a Wednesday. You see the light at the end of the tunnel, right? Hopefully. So we had 2 guests scheduled today, and neither one of them are going to be able to join the program. Not a problem. We got plenty to talk about, by golly. Yeah, there's a lot to talk about for sure.
One minute till broadcast.
Tomorrow, programming note as well. Tomorrow, I will not be here live. I'm actually taking a day. Yeah, I know, randomly on a Thursday, but there's a concert. I have to go to it. It's going to be awesome. You can't talk me out of it, man. Can't do it.
Seconds till broadcast.
All right, if you are on the live streams, then welcome aboard. We got a lot to talk about, obviously. A lot to get to, so like it out, share it out, leave that comment. Break that algorithm, man. Let's have some fun today as we continue on through the week under a new Biden announcement of presidential runs. Oh, yes. All right, hang tight. Here we go.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin transmission.
Fighting for freedom every day.
Republicans right now, the conservatives, which unfortunately, this is what we have to do every time, even after a vote where people are sick and tired of the establishment, they're sick and tired of the squeezy, middle-of-the-road, squishy kind of Republican rhinos, and we vote conservatives in, then we have to fight tooth and nail in D.C. to actually be heard within the Republican Party.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Yeah, darn right it is. Welcome into the program. What's up? What a day it's been, man. It's a Wednesday, the middle of the week. You see the light at the end of the tunnel, which means we get to carpe diem all over this place. As usual, the greatest day of the entire week, and holy cow, it's been a madness kind of day. The day of chaos, insanity, and madness. Welcome into it, broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation in the great state of Wichita, Kansas. Yeah, the great state of Wichita, Kansas, apparently. Multiple radio stations, TV, live streaming, and podcasting. However you watch or listen to the show, always great to have you along for the ride. Your Millennial General reporting for duty, as we do every single day. So a bit of a change on the show today. We had originally had 2 guests scheduled today to line up the entire show with awesome programming and guests, because you don't want to hear me ramble on for an entire hour, do you? Some do, but others not so much. We had 2 guests scheduled, and unfortunately both of them not able to make it today. So you have me, which is fine, because we have a massive amount of things to talk about, and it gives us open opportunity to do so as we move through the day. But got to admit, first and foremost, Congressman Bob Latta from the 5th District of Ohio. I have to apologize for him. I know this is kind of inside baseball, but we had planned to chat earlier this morning. We made contact. I chatted with him for a little bit, and then I went to call him back. I didn't have the right number because I'm an idiot, so it was all me and my fault. And when I tried to contact him again, I was unable to do so. So we have that one rescheduled because I'm just a dummy. The second one, our guest, Jonathan Williams, he's the vice president and chief economist for ALEC, the American Legislative Exchange Council. We were going to have him on to talk about rich states and poor states in the nation. He's not able to make it today. We do have him rescheduled as well. So Mercury retrograde, let's put it at that, for those that believe in that kind of stuff. We'll just go along with that. of the fact that we had some oddness going on today. So, nonetheless, we have a lot to talk about, and I do briefly want to tease the report that Jonathan Williams came out with from ALEC on the Rich States, Poor States report on the richest and poorest states in the nation. And it tees off into the topic that I wanted to get into throughout the rest of the program as well, because conveniently, the vast majority of the states that are on the top 10 list for the rich states, or states that are doing best economically for 2023 so far in the first quarter of the year, are majoritively Republican run. Utah, North Carolina, Arizona, Idaho, Oklahoma, Wyoming, Indiana, North Dakota, and Florida, along with Nevada rounding out at number 10. Now, obviously, not all of them are straight Republican, but there's a lot of Republican influence in these for most of these states. Utah, pretty mixed, I think, relatively right-leaning, even though Utah, for the most part, they have kind of a Mitt Romney-style Republicanism, at least at some of the federal-level nominations. Oklahoma, though, is a straight Republican state. In fact, they have more inner bickering among the Republicans because they don't have to worry about the Democrats. There's so few of them in the state of Oklahoma. Wyoming, same story. They're starting to weed themselves out with individuals like, I don't know, Liz Cheney, who ended up getting booed out of the party in a very large majority in their latest election. So a lot of these states are Republican, as opposed to, obviously, the poor states. Can you guess what side of the aisle they're on? Majoritively Democrats. Maryland, Hawaii, Oregon, Maine, California, Illinois, New Jersey, Minnesota, Vermont, New York. All of these vastly deep blue Democrat states that are on the bottom of the list on the most economically viable across the nation. And I bring this up not only because we're going to talk about it with Jonathan Williams later on the show in the next couple of days, but also because while Joe Biden has officially made his announcement to run for president of the United States, I ask you, not listening to the talking heads like myself even, not listening to the mainstream media, not listening to what you hear on CNBC or other places that are trying to break down how the economy's doing and how the supply chain's going and how things are going in the economy. No, I ask you straight up, are you better off than what you were prior to Joe Biden, which I know is kind of a weird one because we had COVID-19. So I ask you this, are you better off with the Joe Biden administration now than what you were prior to even COVID-19? Are you better or worse? Inflation, the supply chain, things in the grocery store, purchasing a mortgage, maybe refinancing loans and mortgages. Are you better off now than what you were? Doing a quick, just a brief Google search on the economy and hitting news. Here are the headlines from the left-wing mainstream sources right now. CNN, UPS flashes a warning sign about U.S. economy, where they say the economy is slowing down, according to UPS, with the largest trucking company in the nation seeing revenues fall by near 6% for the first quarter. Here's another headline from CNBC. The banking crisis having a slow burn impact on the economy. The Boston Globe, how scarce labor in the job market shapes a new economy. CNBC again, economic growth likely solid for the first part of the year, but could slow down for the rest of the year. The banking crisis, having more than 200 banks and having a financial crisis across the nation. Interesting numbers, isn't it? So as the Biden administration continues to hype up themselves about needing to finishing the job, I'm scared what that job could look like once the job's all said and done. Aren't you? If he's saying he wants to finish the job, what the hell's the economy going to look like in the next 4 years if he, God forbid, ends up getting a second term in the White House, which I don't know that he could, being in his upper 80s or middle 80s or wherever the hell he is. I don't know that people would trust him, as most of the polls show, and we've talked about in the past as well. Bottom of the hour, by the way, we're going to talk, kind of segue in this into the Disney lawsuit that's filed against Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and our battle for capitalism, because that's kind of the overall general theme of the program today. Capitalism, the free markets, because we're not where we need to be economically right now, where Republican states, thank God, are trying to distance themselves from the Biden economy, from what the federal government's doing. And while we have right now the segue between everybody on social programs, COVID-19 is really bad, the economy's burning, we need to take care of people because they can't go to work, and we're now starting to wean people off of that, and the mainstream media losing their cotton-picking minds over that, because, by golly, we have to take care of the citizens. We have to make sure that they're taken care of. We have to give them the universal basic, the child tax credits every day. We have to give them the WIC program and the Medicare and the Medicaid and the unemployment and the SNAP and everything else that's available. we're weaning them off of that now, saying you can get those, but you have to go through the regular work requirements. You have to show that you're applying for jobs. You have to do some job training. You have to apply or work at a certain amount of time before you actually qualify, or you ran out and you have to start working again because you don't qualify any longer. They're trying to hype up that the economy is doing well based on unemployment numbers that have dropped from the mid 6% range down to the mid 3% range since Joe Biden took office. The problem is like we've talked about many times on this program, the economy and the unemployment rates don't really count these numbers accurately because they don't count the ones that are not actively seeking a job. And throughout the last couple of years, especially with COVID, if you're not actively seeking a job, that's because you're probably already on the social program, or maybe your term's expired and you haven't quite started looking for a job yet, or we're going into that transition period right now where you're starting to not qualify for the program. You have to start looking, but you haven't done so yet either. So we're in that weird transition segue period where the numbers are a little weird and wonky. And Joe Biden's trying to hype that up, saying that the economy is doing oh so well. But good news for the economy, according to the DallasNews.com, they say that the Biden economy has helped unemployment rates go from 6.3% to 3.5% for the month of March, and that overall the economy is doing well, although they say it's on the decline. And everybody admits it, including, which is really ironic for the campaign message, he says he's all about inclusivity and about diversity and about bringing everybody to the table. It's at the time where even the Dallas Morning News says that the unemployment numbers, while they may have fallen, are still higher among minority communities across the nation. Not so good news for the Biden administration. Not some good numbers on that front. So now we have the economy slowing down. And the response from Democrats is spend more. Republican response is, let's cut spending, let's get the economy back on track. And we come to a headway when it comes to the debt ceiling that we've talked about oh so long. The Republicans officially proposing, maybe a day late and a dollar short, not quite sure. Republicans officially proposing their new debt ceiling budget called the Limit, Save, Grow Act, according to ABC News. Republicans working to the vote today, actually, swinging one vote that was against it, now supporting the bill. The political plan is interesting behind Republicans on how they're trying to strategize in presenting themselves like the ones working across the aisle, finding the middle ground, trying to be negotiating with Democrats, willing to sit at the table with them with this Limit, Save, and Grow Act. Do you know what it does? It increases the debt ceiling, which, by the way, we're already at 120% of the private GDP. 120%. Meaning if you take every single penny out of every business, family, man, woman, and child, everything out of the bank, everything underneath everybody's mattress, you still would come up 20% short on paying off the entire debt in the nation. We've never been in this position before, but yet this Limit, Save, and Grow Act, presented by Kevin McCarthy and the Republicans, who say they're optimistic about trying to show that they're willing to work across the aisle, raises the debt ceiling by an additional $1.5 trillion, but also tries to reduce funding for federal agencies in 2022's fiscal year, and moving forward, capping the growth of government spending to 1% per year, and block various measures also backed by the White House, such as federal student debt cancellation and new funding for the IRS. Now, this is dead on arrival by the Democrat-run Senate, and it would definitely be dead on arrival, surprisingly, even if it went through the Senate, to get to the President of the United States. But is this the right strategy for Republicans? The Limit, Save, and Grow Act, increasing debt by $1.5 trillion, which we're already at, 32 to 34 trillion, depending on who you look at and who you talk to. $1.5 trillion in additional increases to allow us to get through the next 4 months, but then also caps government spending at a 1% growth per year moving forward, and kills off the federal student loan cancellation and new funding for the IRS. The typical hot topic political talking points for Republicans, but doesn't really do a whole lot in actually cutting the size of government. Now, I kind of understand why they're going the direction that they're going. I almost understand. Because right now, Republicans only owning one chamber of Congress, it makes them look like they're the ones willing to work. They're the ones willing to work across the aisle. They're the ones willing to sit down at the table and say, hey, Democrats, come to the table. Let's negotiate. Let's find a happy medium here. The problem is that if that's your starting point, we're in a really bad situation if we have to negotiate beyond this, because we're already at $34 trillion in debt. I don't want another $1.5 trillion. Also, growing the government by 1% per year. I don't want the government to grow at all. And it's time for the hardliners to stand up and say, ain't going to fly. We're not doing any more here. We're not going to grow it at all. In fact, we're not going to raise the debt ceiling by $1.5 trillion either. It's time to cut spending and figure out how to get through the next few months until we have a proper budget in place starting in October of 2023 for the 24 fiscal year. That needs to be the hardline position. But does this make Republicans look like they're the willing to work across the aisle, happy compromise type of guys, making the Democrats look like the ones unwilling to negotiate, unwilling to work, unwilling to reach across the aisle, making them look bad in the voters' eyes? Because you got to remember, these bills, they're all about how it appears to the voters going into an election season. That's all that really matters here. So the optics is what they really care for. Is this debt on arrival? Will the Senate actually move forward with this? Or could we see an increase in the debt ceiling moving forward allowed by Republicans?
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Andy Hooser here, reminding you not only can you listen to the Voice of Reason on your favorite radio station, but also check out the video of the program on TV and online. We're excited to be working with our partners over at OpsLens to bring the Voice of Reason live every day on their website at opslens.com, on the OpsLens app that you can download on any of your smartphones, or on any of the OpsLens social media. It's a great network that broadcasts multiple shows promoting truth, reason, and common sense, reaching thousands of viewers every day, all day long. Plus, while you're there, you can always watch some of the best highlights of the show during the weekends or read our latest opinion columns on topical issues of the day. Also, if you want to interact with me during the program, just leave a comment on their social media or the OpsLens app stream. You can always join the live chat rooms, or if it's easier, just email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Again, that's HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. This is your show, and we want to hear from you. Why? Because it's time for you to be your own voice of reason in your own community. Looking for more reason? Well, now you can get even more content from the Voice of Reason through our Patreon site. It's your exclusive membership for being the ultimate Hoosier-holic. On our Patreon, you'll get additional interviews and content that we don't get to air on the radio, behind-the-scenes action from the Hooser Media Network, plus one-on-one video streams where you can catch up with me, guests of the show, and other great Voice of Reason supporters. Plus, you can also support the show by checking out our gear and swag. Find the link on our website at HooserReason.com. Again, that's HooserReason.com. Become the ultimate Hoosier-holic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason, and I want to tell you about my friends over at OpsLens. As you know, they've been a great partner with the program, along with so many other TV, radio, and podcasting programs from all over the country, talking about really anything you want to hear, from current events, Second Amendment, politics, health and lifestyle, and so much more. No matter your interest, OpsLens has a show for you, helping educate, entertain, and battle the mainstream propaganda machine. And you can watch this show along with so many others live on their website, their app, or any of their social media sites. Plus, you can catch up with the latest blogs, articles, and stories from all the different show hosts and contributors. What more could you ask for? And now OpsLens wants to give you the opportunity to stay in the know on any issue going on all around the world without the bias, control, and manipulation from the mainstream media or social media. It's time for you to check out OpsLens Worldview. Don't fall for the one-sided reporting of the mainstream media. It's time for you to learn the truth, which means it's up to you to find the truth, and OpsLens Worldview can help. Sign up for OpsLens Worldview and see articles, blogs, reports, stories, and statements from elected officials or government agencies, along with local news stories and police reports from anywhere in the world on really any topic. Find out what's really going on from multiple sources without the filtered journalism or one-sided reporting. Now you can stay informed on global issues as they happen from the local sources, accessing more than 1.5 million online posts every day with tens of millions of blogs and first-hand accounts, all at your fingertips. Just go to opslens.com and click Worldview and use the promo code VOR10 for a 5-day free trial and 10% off when you sign up. Again, that's VOR10 for 10% off when you sign up for OpsLens Worldview. It's time to take knowledge, truth, and wisdom back into your own hands. And you do it right here with the voice of reason and OpsLens.com.
Fighting for freedom every day. This is the voice of reason with Andy Hooser.
Welcome back into the program. I love these snarky comments from the Democrats right now, as well as the Republicans propose what they shouldn't even be proposing, a Limit, Save, and Grow Act, raising the debt ceiling by $1.5 trillion, reducing governments by capping the growth at 1% a year for the next few years, and canceling out student loan debt cancellation, the new funding for the IRS for their expansion as well. Going way too far already. If that's your starting negotiating point, then we are way off track. And I appreciate Kevin McCarthy for what he's been doing. He's been doing a stand-up job. I applaud him very much for being Speaker of the House and all the great fights he's been having. So I applaud him for that. However, this is what I was afraid of. We knew this was going to happen. And I told you this when he became Speaker of the House. He's doing a great job. We were able to rein him in to not be the moderate that we were concerned about being. But the biggest number one challenge, the biggest task that we were going to have on hand was this debt ceiling issue. When he became Speaker in January, they're like, yeah, we're going to run out of money before the end of the year. We need to figure out what to do. And now the discussion is, do we cut spending or do we raise the debt ceiling? Biden already said it was going to be a non-starter to even consider cut spending in any way, shape, or form, that it was strictly going to be raise the debt ceiling or else we're all going to die because we will not compromise in any way, shape, or form. And Kevin McCarthy, being the eternal optimist that he is, which I appreciate because I'm the same way myself, said that he was optimistic about being able to negotiate with Biden, sit down and have a conversation. Well, it hasn't happened. And now we're getting down to it. It's getting pretty narrow right now. We're just months away before this actually running out. In fact, they say early to mid-June. So we're in April. We're 2 months away. And Republicans have been yelling and screaming, trying to shout, but the media is not covering any of that because Joe Biden hasn't wanted to address the issue. So now Republicans are like, hey, we need to do something. So now they have this bill, this Limit, Save, and Grow Act, raising the debt ceiling by $1.5 trillion and capping government growth by 1% for the next few years, along with canceling the other programs. Democrats are already coming out and responding, according to Senator Chuck Schumer. This is his response, is that it should be called the Default on America Act. The Default on America Act, saying that it's the MAGA economic agenda that includes spending cuts for workers and middle-class folks. Now, if they're working and in middle class, they shouldn't need government programs to be cut from them. Because if they're working, they should be able to make enough to where they don't have to. How you do that? You cut down inflation to where they can actually afford to live on their own without government programs. So, sorry, the middle class and the working class, they shouldn't need government programs. And the fact that they do need government programs shows that your programs are a failed program in the first place. I'm just throwing that concept out there. But they're already criticizing that one by not going far enough when we've already stretched ourselves too far already. This needs to be the stand. This is the test for Republicans right now, for Kevin McCarthy and all the Republicans and everybody in the House. And we're going to have some congressmen on here very soon to talk about this issue. This needs to be a hard line. To hell with you. We will not compromise, just as the Democrats have been saying to us for however many months now. To hell with you. We will not raise spending a single penny. And number one, we're not going to default because automatically by our government laws, we already cover our debts to where we don't default. So that's issue number one. So everything they say about defaulting on Americans' debt is a lie and a farce, and you cannot believe that. Number two, to hell with you. We're already spending 120% of our GDP. No more. Figure out where to move the money from. Figure it out. And we're putting the ball in your court. We're giving you the responsibility by having Democrats run in the Senate, the Democrats in the presidency. Figure it out. We're out of the conversation because you don't even want to have a conversation with us, but we will not, as the power of the purse, especially in the House of Representatives, we will not raise spending a penny. Figure your crap out, man. That's the hardline conversation. Then when Democrats say, well, they're unwilling to have a conversation, then we sit down and be like, all right, let's talk. And maybe at the end of the day, this is where you negotiate too. This is not where you start. It's time to get government under control. If we don't stop the buck now, it will never end. It will never stop. This is the time. The now or never is finally here. We got to make that very clear to our elected officials.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. You know, when I get off the air every day, the battle for me against limited government, censorship, and even unfactual content is far from over. That's why now I'm so happy to say that the Hooser Media Network is giving you more opportunity to catch the voice of reason along with other great shows and podcasts. It's been a long time in the works, and now you can finally enjoy more great content, services, and topical shows. We're the safe space for alternative talk, information, and ideas that the mainstream media absolutely hates, from holistic and alternative medicine, discussions on religion and spirituality, pure entertainment shows, and of course yours truly with the voice of reason. Plus, we offer numerous media services, including helping you set up your own podcast. Become your own voice of reason and bring your expertise to any fun issue or topic. For information on all of our shows, links to podcasts, each show website or social media link, or to find out about everything we do to challenge the mainstream establishment, visit our website at HooserMedia.com. Again, that's HooserMedia.com, the future of media. The Hooser Media Network continues to grow every single day with new shows, new content, and new information as we continue to fight the narrative against the mainstream and give you the alternative view of the world. The Hooser Media Network is home to great TV, radio, and podcasting programs on any topic of any interest, from politics and current events to religion and spirituality, holistic and alternative health, entertainment, motivational speakers, and so much more. And with the Hooser Media Network, you can enjoy great podcast programs like Safe Space with Cheyenne.
So, Hans, how did you come up with doing the illustrations with all of the spiritual talks?
Well, again, I've been studying spiritual path ever. I was a young person. I didn't believe what the churches were teaching us, and it was only later when I came across the material like Edgar Cayce when I realized that Christ actually was teaching reincarnation. And that is a very important element. Suddenly, the moment I understood this is a part of the true Christian teachings, suddenly everything makes sense. Why are people sick? Why are people happy? Why are poor? Etc. Suddenly, it makes sense. It's all related to previous lifetimes and our actions is sowing and reaping principle. So this made a lot of sense to me, and I followed it more and more through. And over the years, I studied many wonderful teachers. And just only 10 years ago, I started to put this into short videos, which I illustrate, because I am an illustrator and writer of children's books mostly, also for all other ages. So I use my gift as an illustrator to show it and how the dots always connect. For me, it helped a lot. If I get some IKEA furniture to put together and have to read how to put it together, I wouldn't understand it. But if they make drawings that this part belongs to this part and this part, then I can do it and then I understand it. And I think other people are very similar, that once you see how everything connects, how karma works, how reincarnation works, and when you visually see it, then suddenly it becomes so much clearer. We can talk about reincarnation, we can talk karma and suicide and so on, but visually seeing how it all works out and how it all connects is a very different story. And they have become very popular over the years. As I said, these videos are totally free. This is not my main line. My main line is still writing and illustrating my books. Mm-hmm. I do this to share this with other people because I remember how when I was young and I was desperately looking for some information on these topics, and there was hardly anything available at that time. Now today we have YouTubes. When I started off, of course today I would take TikTok, but it's difficult to squeeze it into 1 minute, what I have to share usually over 5 to 10 minutes. And so I did this video to reach mostly young people because the attention span is only a few minutes anyway, so I had to make it very short. And I follow Einstein's famous quote that if you can't explain it to a 6-year-old, you haven't understood it yourself. So I really have to make it very clear to myself that I understand it. And I'm learning through doing this, doing my series. I'm learning, I understand, suddenly this all makes sense. And that's basically what I do. And I share this for free. You have to join nothing. They're available. I merely offer this. I have zero interest to convince anybody that what I share is right for them or for anybody. I'm only sharing it and I leave it up to you. So I fully respect other people's beliefs that they don't share mine. And I have, as I said, no need. If you don't like it, that's fine with me too. So that's where I come from. And that is the basic story of my videos on lifeexplained.com.
Well, you are doing what you should be doing, because those videos found me and a few of my friends, and it's definitely what I needed to be educated on and the way I needed to be educated. So I appreciate you breaking it down. I know there's the Greg Bradens of the world, right, that are going to teach us about human chromosome 2 and the gamma state and compassion and heart and brain coherence and all of that fun stuff. But I really, really enjoy having it broken down into a very, very, I always say, let me go back to kindergarten. I'm like, let's go back to Sesame Street. Like, take me back there and build me up there. So that was one of my favorite things about finding your videos. So today I did bring you on to talk about the heavy-hitting topic of suicide. And I reached out to you specifically because, of course, I watched your 8-minute video of how you explain it. And I want you to release the suffering of anybody that could potentially come across our episode today.
Listen to all these programs and so much more as we try to bring back knowledge, wisdom, and truth back into the world. And we do that right here with the Hooser Media Network, the future of media.
When Reason Meets Radio. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Yes, indeed it is. Welcome back into the show on the home front here. Last half hour of the show goes by way too fast. Welcome into it. Radio, TV, live streaming, podcasting, trying to cram that 10 pounds of reason into that 5-pound bag, trying to rebrand the millennial generation, one radio listener at a time. So, the battle for capitalism, which to you, I know there's a basic definition of it, but to you individually, what does capitalism actually mean? What is the definition to you? What does that actually mean? Free market, laissez-faire capitalism. The separation between government and the private sector, the focus on the private sector, a supply and demand chain, that wages maybe are based on market value, based on the product that they're making and trying to sell, based on how much of a high demand that is, how high of a quality that is, how much experience it takes to understand and make those products. I mean, that to me would be a free market, laissez-faire capitalist society. We said it. Government shouldn't be in it in any way, shape, or form. We don't have a free market, laissez-faire capitalist society any longer. That may be triggering for some, but we don't have that anymore. We have very much so a quasi-socialist nation already, with how much the government involves itself in the private sector by consuming a sixth of the U.S. economy based on the healthcare industry, by consuming and regulating a lot of the corporations based on the environmental policy, the cap and trade issues, all this other garbage that the federal government has come out with trying to regulate, saying, we're here to help. The fact that, again, reiterating what Chuck Schumer had tried to say, that it's we're going to allow the debt to default because, well, the government's trying to cut, Republicans are trying to cut programs for hardworking middle-class Americans. If they're hardworking and they're middle class, they shouldn't need to be on government programs. Just throwing that concept out again. So, needing the battle for capitalism. Trying to fight to bring free markets back to the system. And this may be interesting for many business owners, and I'd love to get your thoughts on this if you want to email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Am I right or am I wrong when I say that while business needs to find the best opportunity for them and the best scenario, circumstances, environment for their business to thrive, that government should not, and again, this is maybe triggering, I don't know, the government should not be offering special deals or special perks to businesses to plant themselves in a certain place as their headquarters or to build their manufacturing plants. There should not be special government perks for them to do so. Right or wrong? What do you think? Because to me, if you want business to come there, it shouldn't be a special perk of saying, oh, hey, we're going to give you a special tax rate. Unlike anybody else, we're going to give you a special tax rate for employee taxes, for property taxes, for land value, for certain perks for resources coming into the state, whatever. We're going to give you those special perks to make sure you come to our area. Is that capitalism, or is that what we like to call crony capitalism, which isn't capitalism at all? It's using the government for your benefit in a free market society for you to have the upper hand against your competitors. Is that what we're at nowadays? Because apparently that's how states operate in order to bring businesses into their area. Kansas is a prime example of it. We have a major battle because for those that don't know, that live across the country, that listen to the program, Kansas and Missouri have a split for Kansas City, right down the middle of the city for the most part. We have the Kansas side, we have the Missouri side. And businesses love to flop back and forth on which side they identify as, on what their address is and where their headquarters are, based on the incentives and the perks that the government gives them ongoing year after year after year. Other states, obviously, had given perks to business, even at the city levels, not to rag on the city that I live here in the city of Wichita, but a couple of years ago with our former mayor, they made one really sweet deal for them to build a brand new baseball stadium in the area by literally giving away land as a perk for $1 an acre in the downtown metro area for them to build this really fancy baseball stadium and hopefully bring in a AA baseball team that now ended up being a AAA baseball team and not the economic incentive that they had hopefully made when they originally made the deal a few years ago. But as the perk, they gave away the land for $1 an acre for them to not only build the baseball stadium, but an entire museum and a whole downtown strip and all this other garbage because they were hoping it would bring in economic incentive. Well, that leads us to today's topic when it comes to the company of Disney.
What's trending today?
So the company of Disney, if you have not heard today, has officially filed a lawsuit against Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. And for those that don't know the backstory here, we'll give you the quick synopsis. They were against the quote-unquote Don't Say Gay bill, which is a stupid name for the bill. That's not the name of the actual bill. That's what the progressives have called it because Governor Ron DeSantis said, hey, maybe we shouldn't be talking about sexual orientation to elementary students. I know, a crazy, wild concept. And the company of Disney, where they had their headquarters obviously in Florida, came out against that bill. And since then, Governor Ron DeSantis has been putting some additional regulations and some caps on the company and the corporation of Disney that they're not liking. Well, they've officially filed a lawsuit, according to CNBC, saying that the Republican governor has, quote, has a relentless campaign to weaponize government power against the corporation that's been, quote, orchestrated at every step. That's actually in the lawsuit. Orchestrated at every step to punish Disney based on their political views and their stance against his policies. Now, what has Governor Ron DeSantis actually done against the company of Disney? What he's done is he's taken away the perks that were crafted back in the 1960s, where they're essentially governing themselves outside of the purview of the state government. They have their own land. They do not pay property taxes on them. They don't pay taxes to the state based on what happens at that value. They don't pay anything. They've essentially owned their land as their own individual government and nation within the state of Florida. And Ron DeSantis said, those are going away. Now, whether that's a good idea or not good idea, whether you want to go down that road with the battle against the quote-unquote woke corporation is an interesting concept, but I think he's doing the right thing, but really for the wrong reason. There was a debate on that, by the way, on Newsmax earlier today, actually, where Anthony Scaramucci, remember that name? The guy that used to be the former press secretary for the Trump administration, was actually duking out with a Newsmax host on this issue on whether it was the right move or not. As Scaramucci said, no, back off. Government shouldn't be involved in this issue.
Of course it doesn't make sense. Well, several reasons, but the main one is conservatives are supposed to be laissez-faire, and conservatives are supposed to back off of American businesses and let American businesses make their own decisions. Disney has a position. It's their right of free speech. The way Disney loses with this woke thing, and I hate the woke stuff because I am a conservative, is through the internal mechanisms. That's people not going to their parks, not subscribing to Disney Plus, getting investors and shareholders on their board that tell them to knock off the woke sort of stuff, having it coming from the government.
But they're not doing it.
All right, so that was Anthony Scaramucci. That was on Newsmax just earlier today, talking about, hey, Ron DeSantis is in the wrong here. He needs to back off because the government, the corporation itself of Disney, has the right to freedom of speech. They can do their woke stuff even though we don't agree with it. They have the right for that. And as a laissez-faire, free market capitalist conservative, we don't need to be punishing them through the government based on their woke ideology as a corporation. And I agree with that. However, he's still wrong. He's right, but for the wrong reason, or maybe he's wrong, but for the right reason. Let's put it that way. He's wrong, but for the right reason. The host, however, is all about lay down the law, put down the hammer, let's punish the Disney corporation, let's take away all these perks that the government gave them. Let's go ahead and do that because we don't like the wokeness from Disney.
They're not doing the woke agenda is alive and kicking in the boardrooms in America, and it takes a strong governor to say, stop it, or we're going to pull back on some of the things we've given you. They gave Reedy Creek a special exemption.
Eric, I get the fact that you're in the culture war, and I understand your position in the culture war, but honestly, as an American businessman, and for many years you were a very successful American businessman, you don't want the government hitting this tripwire and causing those dominoes to take place. You don't want Democratic governors or Republican governors involved with the intervention.
What tripwire?
Interesting conversation. Now, in my personal opinion, the host is right, but for the wrong reason. The guest, Anthony Scaramucci, is wrong, but for the right reasons. We don't want government to be involved in the private sector, the laissez free market capitalist society. And even if a company is woke and doing really stupid woke stuff, that is up to us as the consumer to decide whether we're going to buy their product. Look at what's happening to Bud Light. We don't need a government intrusion to crack down on Bud Light. We're just not going to buy Bud Light. And what happened? They lost near $6 to $7 billion worth of their value. We see Fox News. Tucker Carlson out. Boom. They fired him. He was the number one rated host on the entire network. Guess what? In one day, in a single day, Fox News lost near 5 to 6% of their shares, lost near $1 billion worth of value for their shares, and they're trying to rebuild now because we stopped watching and we're canceling our Fox News subscriptions and we're canceling our memberships with the organization. As a consumer, that's what we do. And Anthony Scaramucci is right on that front. However, he's wrong when it comes to we shouldn't do something about cracking down on the perks from government. The host is right there that we should be cracking down on it, but not because they're woke, not because it's a retaliation for political views, because he's right. That is going to open up Pandora's box for every governor to go after corporations that they don't agree with within their the territories to try and tax them more or punish them more or get rid of certain perks. We shouldn't be doing perks in the first place. If a governor or state wants to have perks for a corporation to settle there, to give them jobs, to give them manufacturing, to give them certain tax revenue in their state, then it needs to be across the board. Isn't that the separation of government in private sector here in corporations? Now, obviously, we're talking in a pipe dream here because that's not the way that things operate nowadays for especially large corporations. But how does that work for the little guy who has to try and get the little shop, the little walk-in shop in the downtown strip of an area, and then say, hey, I have to pay normal tax rates, I have to pay regular employee taxes, I have to pay regular property taxes, I have to pay regular sales tax rates, while the corporation's getting all these perks. What the hell, man? I don't see some fairness in the economic system right now. We need to push those two ideas together and do it for the right reasons.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Andy Hooser here, reminding you not only can you listen to the Voice of Reason on your favorite radio station, but also check out the video of the program on TV and online. We're excited to be working with our partners over at OpsLens to bring the Voice of Reason live every day on their website at opslens.com, on the OpsLens app that you can download on any of your smartphones, or on any of the OpsLens social media. It's a great network that broadcasts multiple shows promoting truth, reason, and common sense, reaching thousands of viewers every day, all day long. Plus, while you're there, you can always watch some of the best highlights of the show during the weekends or read our latest opinion columns on topical issues of the day. Also, if you want to interact with me during the program, just leave a comment on their social media or the OpsLens app stream. You can always join the live chat rooms, or if it's easier, just email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Again, that's HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. This is your show, and we want to hear from you. Why? Because it's time for you to be your own voice of reason in your own community. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. You want some more reason throughout the day? Well, now it's easier than ever to find. Here's what you do. Check out the website at HooserReason.com. There you can find past shows, links to all of our social media, special features, our monthly blogs, and a heck of a lot more. Plus, make sure to check in frequently as we're constantly working to add more goodies that you'll really enjoy. Also, you can always subscribe and follow our social media sites for bonus content, articles that we use on the show, or maybe some additional rants. Yeah, it's all that and so much more. Check it all out at HooserReason.com. Looking for more reason? Well, now you can get even more content from the Voice of Reason through our Patreon site. It's your exclusive membership for being the ultimate Hoosier-holic. On our Patreon, you'll get additional interviews and content that we don't get to air on the radio, behind-the-scenes action from the Hoosier Media Network, plus one-on-one video streams where you can catch up with me, guests of the show, and other great Voice of Reason supporters. Plus, you can also support the show by checking out our gear and swag. Find the link on our website at HooserReason.com. Again, that's HooserReason.com. Become the ultimate Hoosier-holic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. As we continue to grow as a radio and TV program, we're continuously working behind the scenes to try and bring more common sense and reason to more patriotic Americans all over the country. That's why we're super excited to be working with the OpsLens team to bring you the Voice of Reason every single day. OpsLens is a national online network bringing you incredible content all day from hosts all over the country. And each host brings their own unique experience and expertise to the current events, reaching hundreds of thousands of patriotic Americans daily. Make sure to check out their website at opslens.com. Make sure to download the OpsLens website and follow them on all of these social media sites that you like so you can watch all their live streaming content, including ours right here with the Voice of Reason. Plus, if you want more of the Voice of Reason, check out our website online at HooserReason.com. There you can listen to the live audio feed of the show every single day. You can read our monthly blog. You can check out our satire infomercials. You can see pictures of what we're doing, upcoming schedule of events, and a heck of a lot more. On the website, you can find our list of radio and TV affiliates in your area. Find our social media links, and while you're there, sign up for our free newsletter. Over the last 2 years, your Voice of Reason newsletter has grown exponentially. It's completely free, and in it we give you your monthly motivation, upcoming civic holidays for the month, a recap from the show from last month, upcoming guests on the program, along with the latest news from our Hoosier Media Network. It's pretty simple. All you got to do is go to the website at HooserReason.com and become the next Hoosier-holic. Finally, follow us on all of our social media sites. With the iron grip control on content from the radical left, unless you follow us, you're not going to be able to see us. It's been an ongoing battle with shadow banning on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, where even our own fans are having a hard time finding our content. But the battle isn't over. We'll continue to bring you the best content we can on as many platforms as possible. You can follow us with the handle at Hoosier Reason. No matter what social media site you like to use, you can find us there. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch.tv, Instagram, TikTok, OurFreedomBook.com, Parler, and of course our website at HooserReason.com. Don't miss it while we give you a heads up on some of the events that I may be attending or speaking at, updates of behind-the-scene projects, or just something sarcastic to try and rile up the left. The battle for freedom is real, and we want to be part of that battle as we want you to be your own voice of reason in your own community. Conservative principles happen at the grassroots level, and that's what we're here to help with. And together, you and I can fight back against this virus that's spreading across the nation that is socialist policy, trying to destroy this country. We can bring us back to some constitutional values, some individual sovereignty, and the right for you to be able to make your own choices when you deem necessary for you, your family, and your community. In a world of fake news and information overload, it's time to bring back some reason, common sense, guidance, and a little bit of wisdom. And that's what we're here to do. This is the Voice of Reason.
Fighting for freedom every day. The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Man, the Democrats losing their mind. So the idea of capitalism, separation from the government and the private sector, should we just make it to where there's incentive for every business, large corporation and small? I mean, wouldn't that be a nice way to clean things up instead of saying, hey, we're going to give you a special perk and you a special perk, but we're not going to give you a special perk, small business, because you're really not that important. But we really need you because, honestly, small business considered 99% of all the economic growth in this nation. So there is that. And by the way, small business being considered any business under 500 employees is by definition what a small business is across the nation. These perks We need to get rid of them for Disney. Imagine, if you will, a massive corporation that dominates the industry. And by dominates the industry, I mean Disney owns about every TV outlet out there, every different streaming site, every different, they own ESPN. I think they own like ABC and CBS and NBC and whatever. They own just about everything. They own most of the TV and movie production companies. They own it all. Because they have the opportunity that they've lived like kings for so long, which makes sense with how many castles they have on Disney World down there in Florida already. They live like kings, not having to pay taxes, not having to pay sales tax or employee tax or property value tax or any of that stuff, making their own rules and their own laws since the 1960s, charging whatever the hell that they want to charge. I love taking my little girl to the Disney on Ice. She loves it. She's been there 3 or 4 times throughout the years. Absolutely loves it. You cannot walk out of there without spending about $200. $20 for a bag of cotton candy that's only half full that takes them 20 cents to actually make. $20 for that. A toy, a single toy that's going to break in about 3 months is like $40, $50. It's insane how expensive their products are, but just because it's branded by Disney, they can charge whatever the hell they want to. And now when the governor says, you know what, we're going to go ahead and get rid of these perks, which should have been done a long time ago. They shouldn't have had to wait just until they went woke and started attacking the Republicans. This should have been done from day one in the 60s to say, you're not going to get this sweet deal. The hell are you talking about? This should have been done a long time ago. Now it's being used for a political purpose from both sides of the aisle. Again, we're doing the right thing, but for the wrong reason here, trying to usurp a corporation privately by using government intrusion based on their woke ideology, when it should have just been, hey, you shouldn't have had these perks for a long time now. You should pay and do the fair thing like everybody else. You got to play the game fairly, just like everybody else. You're not getting any special deals here. The company at Disney has the audacity during this conversation to say now that they're working to try to invest in the company to hire new individuals. And that's why this lawsuit that's void and unenforceable. The panel unanimously, the Governor Ron DeSantis created a panel to decide the fate of Disney, which they voted unanimously to actually get rid of all the perks that they have. The lawsuit says it's the latest strike as they've laid the foundation for billions of Disney's investment dollars and thousands of jobs to be at stake here. Because the Disney company said that they planned on investing $17 billion into the Walt Disney World over the next decade to create near 13,000 new jobs on top of the near 75,000 jobs that they already host. Now, I guess you could look at it that way. However, Disney's already been laying people off just by what's going on right now. They haven't even lost the perks yet, and they're already losing people. In fact, they just let go of near 7,000 workers over the last month. 7,000. So they're actually losing, and they say they were planning on building, and how it's Ron DeSantis' fault that it's not going to be able to be invested or grow because of getting rid of all these perks, because now they actually have to pay property taxes, and they have to pay sales taxes, and they have to pay employee taxes and all the other stuff because they weren't having to do as much of that before based on the nice little perks that they were getting. We have to do this, but it can't just be Disney, and it can't just be because of their woke ideology. That stuff has to be done based on the consumers. If you don't like the direction Disney's going, you have to do the same with what you did with Bud Light and what you did with Fox News, is you have to cancel the subscriptions, not go to the resorts, not pay the massive amounts of money to them, and let them flail until they make a change. And right now, we're, again, leaning on government to do it for us, which we need to do anyways, get rid of those perks, but we have to do it for the right reasons, because you're right, this could open up the Pandora's box to allow Republican and Democrat governors across the nation to give special perks to some companies and not perks to other companies based on political ideology and the corporations and how they actually stand on a political issue. This is insanity. Let capitalism, free market, laissez-faire systems work the way they're supposed to, and the businesses conveniently will support government and political sides that will give them the best perks, which will be for everybody, not just for them individually. What a crazy concept. Back at it again. Oh, programming note, not here tomorrow. Taking a day off tomorrow. I'll be taking a personal day. Back at it again on Friday. Until then, we'll see you on the radio. This is The Voice of Reason. I'm Andy Hooser. Have a great Thursday. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. You know, when I get off the air every day, the battle for me against limited government, censorship, and even unfactual content is far from over. That's why now I'm so happy to say that the Hooser Media Network is giving you more opportunity to catch the voice of reason along with other great shows and podcasts. It's been a long time in the works, and now you can finally enjoy more great content, services, and topical shows. We're the safe space for alternative talk, information, and ideas that the mainstream media absolutely hates. From holistic and alternative medicine, discussions on religion and spirituality, pure entertainment shows, and of course yours truly with the voice of reason. Plus, we offer numerous media services, including helping you set up your own podcast. Become your own voice of reason and bring your expertise to any fun issue or topic. For information on all of our shows, links to podcasts, each show website or social media link, or to find out about everything we do to challenge the mainstream establishment, visit our website at HooserMedia.com. Again, that's HooserMedia.com, the future of media.
Brian Kilmeade.
Soon it'll be who's my quarterback. I don't see black or white. You just see styles. You can't say white people are pocket passers and blacks like to run. You can't make those universal statements. They're just quarterbacks.